Now, with the political and governance environment shifting, many companies are reassessing their outlook, and commercial real estate is often the first sector where changes in business sentiment show up in real time. Joining us now to walk us through what she's seeing on the ground is Sheila Lobien, the CEO of Lobien Realty Group, a commercial and office leasing firm. Hi, Sheila. Welcome.
Hi, Mikey. Good morning.
Okay, let's talk about this sector. We're at a moment defined by massive corruptions, major shift in the president's economic team, and resignations in the executive and budget departments. From where you sit, how is this intense political landscape affecting your sector?
Definitely, it's affecting our sector. We still see demand, but it has slowed down. But continued demand still, especially in the office market.
Okay, let's go specifics. Let's talk about vacancy rates and rental rates. I understand this commercial leasing sector is still not quite at pre-pandemic levels. Where do we stand right now?
Right now, it's still at 19% vacancy rate, which is very high compared to pre-pandemic levels wherein we were enjoying 4 or 5% vacancy rate. Almost all the buildings back then were fully leased. So it's a different story today. But then, the rental rates, it's still very resilient and holding at 1,000 pesos per square meter average across Metro Manila.
Okay, why is that? Why have vacancy rates? Why are they at 19%? What's holding this sector back?
Well, number one, there's hybrid. You mentioned about work from home, hybrid model. Companies are still not fully making their people go back to their office 100%. And the outsourcing industry also, though there is demand, they are implementing work from home and hybrid setup. And of course, what's happening in the global and local environment right now affects demand and
yeah, absolutely. As it affects demand, tell us about corporate behavior. What exactly are your corporate clients doing right now with their office requirements?
They are right-sizing, looking for the best deal out there. So, instead of taking 100 square meters like in the past or 1,000 square meters, they can just do 500 right now. They have this hybrid type of model and work from home. So they're optimizing their space.
Yeah, thus the 19% vacancy rate. Across commercial and office real estate, what are the hard trends emerging right now, Sheila?
Right now, as mentioned, they are looking for the best deals. Whether they're buying or renting, they are looking for best terms. They still decide, they still want to expand, but slowly, testing the market. Some are entering with they're looking at temporary office space solution also. The co-working model is growing as well, not just here in Metro Manila, but all over the Philippines.
Another trend you mentioned when we had a brief discussion prior to going on air, you said that fit-out companies are now stepping in to provide financing
True.
to help tenants shoulder the upfront costs.
Yes,
what does
less
this
capital.
signal? Yeah, what does this signal, Sheila?
It signals that BPOs, big multinational firms, and even local firms are cautious. So they do not just want to put out a big capital expense out there. If there are companies who can provide them financing and make the initial cost less, they'll do that. So it's more on an operational expense model.
Yeah. How widespread is this trend, this fit-out
We
companies
see that in
stepping
the last few quarters, especially this year.
Okay.
They want more of that. And even big firms are going through that, taking that, so that they can manage their risk also.
Yeah. What does that tell you about the state of commercial leasing today?
There is still demand, as mentioned, but it has slowed down. Expansion happening outside Metro Manila. So companies are managing their risk, that's number one, managing their cost. But they still believe in the Philippines because we still get a lot of inquiries, we still get a lot of demand also. But the demand is, getting smaller because they're also decentralizing.
Yeah, as they decentralize,
Yes.
Sheila, what are the hottest hubs now, apart from the CBD, as they look outside Metro Manila?
The Visayas. So Cebu is always there. Near us is Pampanga, very accessible and a lot of talent. They always look for talent first and then the infrastructure around the city or around the area. That will
That's right.
support their
Yeah,
growth.
of course, they need that talent, first and foremost. Talking about interest rates, the BSP has been cutting interest rates 175 basis points since August of 2024, yet growth in the third quarter was still lackluster, dropped to 4%. Expectations were for much higher growth. The BSP meets one last time for the year this December. Would a deeper rate cut, people are talking 25 bips, some want 50. Would a deeper rate cut really help your sector at this point?
As mentioned earlier, back then, pre-pandemic levels, we were enjoying 4%. So if we can go back at, at that level, then I think that would really help the sector, not just the office market, but the residential market as well.
Okay, speaking, you mentioned residential. So I know you focus on commercial and office spaces, but I wanted to ask you, given all of the, the corruption allegations, I hear from property developers that demand for high-end luxury developments has softened. I know you dabble a little bit in this as well. Can you tell us about what you're seeing and what you're feeling on the ground on the high-end residential side as in the wake of all of these cuts in spending from the people that buy this stuff?
We see a slow demand in that market, high-end residential, because very few families are who can afford that. And these are just the 10 big family names, and of course those who are involved in this scandal and all that. So yeah, we feel that. But the mid-market, the low cost, the house and lot,
board, Sheila,
still growing.
Across the board, a weakness in the luxury segment on account of the cuts in government spending, on account of the corruption probes, would you say?
Yeah, we see that.
How drastic, how much slower has it become?
Probably, 10, 15% from that up to
10
now.
to 15%,
Yeah.
okay.
And there are very few developers specializing on that high-end market.
Yeah.
Many are focusing on the mid-market and the low-cost housing, and that segment is still growing.
The demand
a
there
lot
will
of
always be
housing
buoyant.
requirements for many Filipinos.
Okay, on the flip side, at the top of the commercial market for premium and grade A offices, what is the demand there like?
Very stable right now. A lot of big companies, multinational firms, are always after or looking for green buildings because it's part of their mandate now to go and look at buildings with
what used to be a perk is now an absolute requirement.
It's a requirement. It's a must. So they have to be in a green building. So buildings that are quality, green, they are doing well. They have recovered. Rentals is very stable, and the demand is there. So it's good.
Okay.
So old buildings should upgrade, and if they can, make it green if that's doable for them.
Yeah, absolutely, to attract the foreigners, the multinationals, and the
Mm-hmm.
BPOs. Speaking of that market, is foreign investor sentiment in the broader market has really softened.
Yes.
How are you feeling it? How are tenants behaving in the commercial real estate space?
As mentioned, they're very cautious. So there is still demand, but it has slowed down. And they are now, as I have shared, looking at support. So fit out companies who can provide financing, that's one. And if they can expand, they expand slowly. Like if they can postpone it to 6 months after, they do that. But they are already looking at 2026.
Yeah.
So we see that it's going to be an improvement.
And if you could enumerate, Sheila, what's driving the slowdown locally?
Well, locally, the political environment, the unstable, growth rate also. Because when we were growing at a steady 5.5, 6.5% annually, we see a continuous increase in demand also.
Yeah,
So
we need that growth
we
to
need
prop up
that,
demand.
yeah.
Okay, Sheila, let's talk about the cabinet shakeup. I know you're not a political analyst, but from a commercial real estate point of view, Frederick Go is now in finance, Ralph Recto stepping in as executive secretary. How do changes like these affect confidence?
Definitely, it will affect the sentiments of our clients and many people out there. But of course, we are looking after the government, really running after the people who are liable. We want them to be accountable for what's happening, right? That would help. It means the government is listening to the public, and hopefully that will make more demand for us in the real estate sector.
Okay, Sheila, finally, for brokers, landlords, and individual sellers, can you give us a practical tip on how to close a deal in today's environment?
You need to have a good advisor like us. But really, you need to do your homework. You know, in a market like this, there are a lot of opportunities. Good deals are out there. So if you're a landlord or a developer, you have to be flexible today to maintain your tenant so that they will not look at other options. Give them good deals so they can come to you. And of course, upgrade your building. As mentioned, they want a building that's green. So if you can't do that, upgrade and make it better. And then for those who are buying, it's a buyer's market, it's a tenant's market. So you can start negotiating your leases with your landlord to get a good deal. You can consult an experienced real estate broker to help you navigate these uncertainties. And then, of course, if you're buying, cash is king. There are a lot of good deals out there. You just have to look for it and again, do your due diligence.
Yeah,
Check
always due diligence. And in one word, how are things shaping up for 2026, Sheila?
It's moving up. I think optimistic but cautious.
Cautiously
So we see
optimistic.
movements in other parts of the real estate market. Like as mentioned,
Okay.
hotel market is also moving up. The warehousing logistics market is
Okay.
good. The
All right.
low-end mid-market residential also is improving because Filipinos would always want
Yeah.
to have their dream home.
Yeah.
So
All
that
right.
will never go away.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
your time
Mikey.
today, Sheila Lobien.
Thank you.